Will you marry me?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I love you.
I love you too.
Hello, Mr. Hope family. Welcome to part 2 of this story. In part 1, we saw how Nia and Malik's worlds collided, and how love began to grow despite pain and pressure. But the real test is just beginning. The following weekend, Nia stood in front of her bathroom mirror, adjusting her earrings for the 3rd time, even though they were already perfect. It wasn't vanity, it was nerves. Tonight wasn't just dinner, tonight was proof. In the living room, Brielle Vaughan, Nia's best friend and trusted voice, sat on the couch with her legs crossed, watching Nia pace. Brielle's eyes were sharp, protective. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked. Nia stopped pacing. "I have to. Malik deserves to be seen for who he is, not who they assume he is." Brielle exhaled. "Then promise me something. If they start disrespecting him, you shut it down immediately." Nia nodded. "I will." A knock sounded at the door. When Nia opened it, Malik Rivers stood there in a clean suit that didn't look expensive, but looked dignified. His hair was neat, his shoulders squared, and his expression held a quiet seriousness. Behind him, Zion Rivers, 10 years old, peeked out from the hallway, wearing a small button-up shirt and grinning like he was part of something important. "Zion wanted to come," Malik said, almost apologetic. "He begged." Zion lifted his chin. "I'm the emotional support kid." Nia laughed, despite her nerves. "You can come, but you have to be respectful." Zion saluted. "Yes, Mom." Malik looked at Nia, voice low. "Before we go, I need to say this. I'm not walking into a room to be insulted." Nia's smile softened. "You won't be alone." Brielle grabbed her purse. "And if anybody acts crazy, I'll cough loud as a warning." Zion whispered to Malik. "She means business." Minutes later, the Sterling estate glowed under bright lights, grand and intimidating as always. As they walked toward the front doors, Nia felt Malik's tension beside her, contained but real. Inside the dining room, Edmund Sterling, Nia's father, proud and controlled, stood near the table while Patrice Sterling, her mother, wore a polished smile that didn't match her eyes. "Nia," Patrice said warmly. Then her gaze dropped briefly to Malik's shoes, then to Zion. "Oh, you brought company." "This is Malik Rivers," Nia said clearly, stepping slightly closer to him. "And this is his little brother, Zion." Malik extended his hand. "Good evening, sir." Edmund stared at Malik's hand a moment too long before shaking it. His grip was firm, more like a test than a greeting. "So you're the mechanic?" Malik nodded. "Yes, sir." Edmund's eyes flicked toward Zion. "And you're raising him?" "Yes," Malik replied, calm. Patrice's smile tightened. "How noble." They sat at the long table. Brielle sat beside Nia, scanning faces. Zion sat near Malik, swinging his legs lightly, trying to behave. At first, the conversation stayed polite. Edmund asked Malik where he grew up. Malik answered. Patrice asked about the shop. Malik explained. Nia began to relax, until Edmund's tone shifted. "So," Edmund said, cutting his steak, "how exactly did you meet my daughter?" Malik glanced at Nia. "I helped her when her car broke down during a storm." Edmund's eyebrow lifted. "Helped her, or saw an opportunity?" Nia's stomach tightened. "Dad," Edmund raised a hand. "I'm just asking questions." Patrice dabbed her mouth with a napkin. "Nia has a generous heart, sometimes too generous." Brielle's cough came, one sharp warning. Zion looked up innocently. "Mr. Sterling, my brother is nice. He helped Miss Nia even when she was mean to him." Silence dropped. Nia's face heated. "Zion," Edmund leaned back, eyes narrowing. "So my daughter was mean, and he still stayed close. Interesting." Malik's jaw tightened. With respect, sir, I didn't stay close for money. I stayed close because your daughter apologized, and I accepted it. Edmund's smile was cold. That's what they all say. Patrice's voice turned sugary. Malik, what is it you want from Nia? Be honest. Malik's eyes held steady. I want peace. I want respect. I want love that's real. Edmund's chair scraped back suddenly. He lifted his glass, then, without warning, tilted it forward. Liquid splashed onto Malik's shirt. Zion gasped. Brielle's hand flew to her mouth. Nia froze, shocked. Edmund set the empty glass down with a heavy calm. There. Now you can go home and tell whoever sent you that the Sterling family is not available to be played. Malik stood slowly, hands shaking, not in fear, but humiliation. His eyes glistened, but he didn't beg. He looked at Nia once, hurt and tired. I told you, he said quietly. I'm not doing this. Then he took Zion's hand and walked out. Nia's breath caught as tears flooded her eyes. She turned to her father, voice breaking into anger. How could you? The following morning, Nia woke up with a pounding head and a heavier heart. The image of Malik standing there, soaked in humiliation at her father's table, kept replaying like a cruel loop she couldn't pause. She hadn't slept much. Neither had Brielle Vaughan, who sat at Nia's kitchen island with a cup of tea and a face full of disgust. Your father crossed a line, Brielle said quietly. Nia's eyes were swollen. He didn't just cross it, he stomped on it. A few minutes later, Nia's phone buzzed, a message from Malik. Zion's asking why grown people act like that. I don't have a good answer. Please don't come to the shop today. Nia's throat tightened. She typed back fast. I'm so sorry. Please let me explain. No reply came. Nia stared at her phone until the screen dimmed. At noon, Nia drove to the Sterling office building, not to work, but to confront. She found her parents in Edmund's private conference room, sunlight spilling over polished wood like nothing had happened. Edmund stood at the window, hands behind his back, looking calm. Patrice sat with her legs crossed, posture composed, as if last night had been a necessary correction. Nia walked in without greeting. What you did was cruel. Edmund didn't turn. What I did was necessary. Patrice's voice stayed smooth. We protected you, Nia. Nia let out a sharp and pained laugh. Protected me from a man who helped me in the rain, refused my money, and walked away with dignity after you assaulted him? Edmund finally faced her. You're too emotional. That's why you can't see what's obvious. What's obvious? Nia demanded. Edmund's eyes narrowed. Men like him don't end up at Sterling tables unless they want Sterling things. Brielle, who had followed Nia in, spoke up. Or unless someone invited him because he cares about your daughter. Patrice's gaze snapped to Brielle. This is family business. Brielle held her ground. Then act like family. Family doesn't humiliate people. Edmund's jaw tightened. Enough. Nia, we have already arranged a meeting for you this week with Grant Holloway. Nia's stomach dropped. No. Patrice leaned forward. Yes, he is stable. He is respected. He is safe. Safe? Nia repeated, voice rising. Safe for who? For me? Or for the company's image? Edmund's tone turned colder. You want to be CEO? Then you will stop making reckless decisions. Nia stared at him. So you're threatening my future? Patrice sighed like Nia was being difficult. Not threatening, guiding. Nia stepped back, shaking her head. This isn't guidance, it's control. Across town, Rivers Auto Works was busy. Malik Rivers tried to focus on an engine problem, but his mind kept drifting back to the moment that drink splashed down his chest. He could still hear Edmund's voice, not available to be played. In the front office, Zion Rivers, 10 years old, sat unusually quiet, drawing on a paper pad. Every few minutes he looked up like he wanted to ask something, then changed his mind. Malik wiped his hands and crouched beside him. "You okay?" Zion shrugged. "I don't like that man." Malik nodded. "Me neither." Zion's voice got small. "Ms. Nia didn't do it, though." Malik's throat tightened. "No, she didn't." Before Zion could say more, the shop door opened. Two people walked in, dressed too sharp for grease and engines, Edmund and Patrice Sterling. The shop went quiet. Malik stood, eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here?" Patrice smiled like she was delivering peace. "Malik, we came to talk." Edmund's gaze swept the shop like he owned the air. "Name your price," he said bluntly. "Whatever you want to stay away from our daughter." Zion's eyes widened. Malik's expression hardened. "I'm not for sale." Edmund reached into his jacket and placed an envelope on the counter. Thick. "Take it," Edmund said. "Disappear. Let Nia move on properly." Malik didn't touch it. His voice stayed calm, but it shook with anger. "You poured a drink on me last night and now you're trying to buy me this morning. You don't respect me. You fear what I represent." Patrice's smile faltered. "We're trying to protect her." Malik stepped closer, eyes steady. "No, you're trying to control her, and I won't help you do it." He slid the envelope back across the counter without opening it. Edmund's face tightened. "You're making a mistake." Malik's voice lowered. "The only mistake I made was believing you'd ever see me as human." Zion moved closer to Malik's side instinctively. Edmund stared a moment, then turned sharply toward the door. Patrice followed, heels clicking like punctuation. When they were gone, Malik exhaled slowly. Zion looked up at him. "Bro." Malik swallowed hard. "Yeah, little man." Zion's voice was quiet but certain. "You did the right thing." Malik nodded, but his eyes were wet, because doing the right thing didn't always feel like winning. Sometimes it felt like losing something you cared about, on purpose. A week after the bribe attempt at Rivers Auto Works, the distance between Nia and Malik felt like a wall made of pride, pain, and other people's decisions. Nia tried calling. Malik didn't answer. She texted. He responded once, short and careful. "I'm focusing on Zion and work. I can't keep reopening that wound." Nia read that message until the words blurred. She understood him, but it still hurt, because Malik wasn't punishing her. He was protecting his peace. That Friday evening, Nia pulled up outside Rivers Auto Works anyway. The sun was still up, the shop still open, but her courage felt small in her chest. She stepped inside and froze. Malik was under a car, tools in hand. He slid out from under it and stood slowly, wiping his hands. His eyes met hers, guarded. "Nia," he said, voice low. "I thought I asked you not to come." "I know," Nia replied, swallowing. "But I can't just disappear." Malik's shoulders stayed tense. "I'm not disappearing. I'm choosing what's healthy." Nia nodded. "I get it. I just needed you to hear this. I'm sorry for what they did. I didn't know my father would—" Malik cut in gently but firmly. "It's not just your father. It's the whole situation. I'm tired of being treated like a problem just because I don't have money." Nia's eyes filled. "You're not a problem." Malik's voice softened, and that softness hurt more than anger. "Then why does loving you come with humiliation?" Before Nia could answer, Zion Rivers, 10 years old, bright-eyed and observant, appeared near the office doorway, holding a small basketball. He stopped when he saw Nia. His face lit up for a second. Then it dimmed, like he remembered he wasn't supposed to be happy too loudly. "Hi, Ms. Nia," Zion said quietly. Nia crouched to his level. "Hi, Zion. I missed you." Zion looked at Malik, then back at her. Are you and my brother mad at each other? Nia's throat tightened. No, sweetheart. We're just figuring things out. Zion nodded slowly, like he was trying to understand grown-up math. Grown-ups always figure things out, while kids just gotta wait. Malik's expression softened at that, but his eyes stayed tired. Nia stood again, voice trembling. Malik, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. Malik held her gaze, and for a moment it looked like he might step closer, but then he exhaled and shook his head. I can't keep inviting pain into Zion's life, he said. He saw your father treat me like I was nothing. He felt that, and I can't have him growing up thinking that's normal. Nia blinked through tears. So what are you saying? Malik's voice was quiet, but final. I'm saying I care about you, but I'm stepping back. Zion's eyes widened. But Malik put a gentle hand on Zion's shoulder. It's okay, little man. Nia looked at Malik, heart cracking. So this is it? Malik swallowed. For now. Nia nodded, backing away as if the floor might break under her. Okay. She turned and walked out before she fell apart in front of Zion. The next morning, Nia sat in her parents' living room, eyes swollen, posture stiff. Edmund looked pleased in a way that made her skin crawl. I heard you went to his shop again, Edmund Sterling said. Good. Maybe you're finally accepting reality. Nia's voice was flat. You destroyed something good. Patrice Sterling sighed as if Nia was being dramatic. We saved you from humiliation. Nia let out a bitter laugh. No, you humiliated him, and I let it happen. Edmund leaned forward. You want a future? Then act like it. Grant Holloway is coming to dinner tonight. Nia didn't answer right away. Her heart screamed no, but exhaustion whispered yes, because fighting them felt like fighting a whole storm with bare hands. That evening, she arrived at a public charity event beside Grant Holloway, the billionaire investor's son, polished and camera-ready. Grant offered his arm with a smooth smile. Relax, Grant murmured. We'll look perfect. Nia forced a smile for the flashing phones, but inside she felt empty. Across town, Malik locked up his shop and looked upstairs where Zion's laughter floated down. Malik closed his eyes briefly, whispering a simple prayer for peace, because sometimes love isn't lost in one moment. Sometimes it's squeezed out, slowly, by pressure, pride, and people who refuse to see the heart. 2 years had passed since the night Malik walked away, and Houston had changed in small ways. New buildings, new restaurants, new billboards. But for Nia Sterling, the biggest change was inside her. On the outside, she looked exactly like the woman her parents wanted her to be. She stood beside Grant Holloway at galas, charity events, and board functions, always camera-ready, always polished. Grant, late 30s, wealthy, charming in public, played the role of the perfect partner like it was a rehearsed performance. He held doors, smiled for photos, and spoke in confident phrases that sounded good in headlines. And Nia smiled too, but her smile didn't reach her spirit anymore. At Sterling Global Holdings, Nia was now operating at the highest level, nearly CEO in everything but title. Her work was excellent, her decisions were brilliant, and the board praised her constantly. Yet every time she walked past her office window and saw her reflection, she felt like she was watching someone live her life from behind glass. Some nights, she sat alone in her quiet home and stared at the ceiling, remembering laughter in a mechanic shop, remembering a boy who asked questions like the world was still safe, remembering Malik. Across town, Rivers Auto Works looked different now too. The sign was newly painted. The shop had expanded to 3 bays. Malik had hired 2 reliable workers and gained loyal customers who trusted him because he never cheated anyone. people in the community respected Malik Rivers, not for money, but for integrity. Upstairs, Zion Rivers, now 12, was taller and still funny, but his humor had matured into something sharper and wiser. He still made jokes, but he also understood more than Malik wanted him to. One afternoon, Zion sat at the front desk doing homework and said, casually, "Bro, you ever think about Ms. Nia?" Malik didn't look up from the paperwork. "Finish your math." Zion shrugged. "That wasn't math, that was truth." Malik exhaled quietly, then ruffled Zion's hair. "Go on." Zion smiled, satisfied. But later that night, Malik sat alone on the shop steps and admitted the truth to himself. He still cared. He just didn't know what caring was supposed to do with time. A few days later, Nia's body gave her a warning she couldn't ignore. It started with exhaustion so deep sleep didn't fix it, then dizziness, then swelling in her hands that made rings feel tight. Nia told herself it was stress, meetings, travel, pressure. She kept going anyway, because that's what she had trained herself to do. Until the morning she collapsed in the Sterling office elevator. When she woke up, the white ceiling above her wasn't her own. A hospital. Dr. Simone Carter, a calm, professional Black American physician in her 40s, stood beside the bed with a clipboard and steady eyes. "Miss Sterling," she said gently, "you're awake. Good." Nia's voice came out dry. "What happened?" Dr. Carter took a careful breath. "You fainted. Your labs show something more serious." Nia's heart beat faster. "How serious?" Dr. Carter didn't sugarcoat it. "Your kidneys are failing. We need more tests, but based on what we see, you'll likely need a transplant." The words landed like a weight dropped on her chest. "A transplant?" Nia whispered. "Yes," Dr. Carter said softly, "and until then, you need to slow down and let us help you." Nia stared at the blanket, stunned. All the board meetings, all the perfect photos, all the pressure, none of it could negotiate with her body. A few hours later, her parents arrived, Edmund and Patrice Sterling, still dressed like the world was watching. Grant came too, holding flowers and wearing concern like a tailored jacket. Grant leaned over and kissed Nia's forehead lightly. "You scared everybody," he said, voice smooth. Nia looked at him, searching for warmth, for something real. Grant smiled. "Don't worry, we'll handle this. My doctors, my specialists, whatever you need." Patrice gripped Nia's hand. "Baby, you'll be fine. You're a Sterling." Edmund nodded sharply. "We'll find the best solution." Dr. Carter stepped in again, professional and clear. "We'll need to test close matches, family and also your partner." Grant's smile stiffened slightly. Nia noticed, and in that tiny shift, in that almost invisible hesitation, Nia felt something cold move through her, because for the first time in 2 years, the life she'd been forced to accept was about to be tested by one question. Who would still stand by her when love required sacrifice? The next week moved like a slow, heavy tide. Tests, appointments, quiet prayers, and long silences that said more than words ever could. In a bright hospital office, Dr. Simone Carter, Nia's physician, calm and direct, laid out the results with professional clarity. "We found a match," she said. "Actually, 2. Nia's fingers tightened around the edge of her chair. Across from her sat Grant Holloway, polished as always, his suit perfect even in a hospital. Behind them stood Edmund and Patrice Sterling, tense and focused. Dr. Carter continued, "Grant, you're a compatible match, and we also received another compatible donor result." Nia's heart jumped. "Another?" Dr. Carter nodded. "Yes, Malik Rivers." The air shifted. Nia's breath caught at the name, like her past had walked into the room and stood beside her. Grant's smile stayed in place, but his eyes flickered. "Doctor," he said smoothly, "I'm sure there are other options. I have responsibilities, travel, risk considerations." Dr. Carter's voice remained neutral. "Donation is voluntary. No one is forced." Nia stared at Grant, waiting for him to say, "I'm here. I'll do it." Instead, Grant adjusted his cuff like he was preparing for a meeting. "I'll support Nia in every other way," he said. "The best care, the best resources." Nia's throat tightened. "So, you won't?" Grant's gaze slid away for half a second. "I can't." That single sentence cracked something clean down the middle. Not her body, her illusion. Patrice reached for Nia's hand. Edmund's face hardened, but even he couldn't hide the shock. That same evening, across town at Rivers Auto Works, Malik Rivers sat at the small table upstairs, while Zion Rivers, now 12, watched him with wide, careful eyes. Zion spoke first, voice quieter than his usual jokes. "You got tested? For her?" Malik nodded once. "Yeah." Zion swallowed. "Are you gonna do it?" Malik didn't answer right away. He looked out the window, then down at his hands, the same hands that fixed engines, held Zion steady, and once turned a car key in the rain for a woman who didn't even say thank you. "I'm not doing it to prove anything," Malik said softly. "I'm doing it because my faith won't let me become bitter." Zion's eyes shined. "You still care about her?" Malik exhaled. "I never stopped." Zion leaned forward, voice steady like a kid trying to be brave for the adult he loved. "Then do what you believe is right. That's what you always tell me." Malik closed his eyes briefly and whispered a simple prayer. Then he nodded. Okay. Weeks later, Nia woke up feeling like air had returned to her life. The room was bright, her parents were there, eyes red, holding her hand like they were afraid to let go. Dr. Carter smiled gently. "The procedure went well," she said. Nia's voice was weak but clear. "Malik," Patrice broke down. "He saved you, baby." Edmund stepped forward, his pride finally cracked open. "We were wrong," he said, voice thick. "We judged a man by his paycheck instead of his character." Tears slid down Patrice's cheeks. "We thought control was protection. We were wrong." Nia turned her face toward the window, crying quietly, not just from gratitude, but from the truth. Love had shown up when image did not. Months later, on a bright Sunday morning, Nia stood at Sterling Global Holdings, not in a hospital gown, not behind a mask, but whole. She faced the board and Mr. Carlton Ames as he read the new amendment aloud. The old married CEO policy was removed permanently. Nia earned the CEO title on merit, no ring required. That afternoon, in a small church filled with laughter and light, Nia married Malik. Brielle smiled through tears. Zion wore a tiny suit and grinned proudly, whispering, "Told y'all love was real." And as Nia and Malik held hands, the lesson of their story became clear. Moral and educational lesson. Real love is proven by sacrifice and character, not money or status. Pain can teach you, but it shouldn't harden you. And when families choose humility, faith, and perseverance, even the hardest beginnings can lead to a beautiful destiny. The moral of this story is that character matters more than status. Money can buy comfort, gifts, and influence, but it cannot buy a clean heart. Nia learned that judging people by their social class can make you blind to true goodness, while Malik proved that real love is shown through actions, sacrifice, and consistency, not promises or image. The story also teaches that pain should shape wisdom, not bitterness. One betrayal should not turn into a prejudice against everyone. For parents, the lesson is clear. Guidance should never become control. When families push image over integrity, they can destroy something beautiful. In the end, faith, humility, and perseverance created healing. Nia chose truth over pressure, Malik chose forgiveness over pride, and both discovered that the richest life is built on respect, service, and genuine love. All right, family. That's how Nia and Malik's story comes full circle, through faith, sacrifice, and a love that proved itself when it mattered most. Now I want to hear from you. Who was your favorite character and why? Was it Nia, fighting to break free from pressure and prejudice? Malik, standing firm with dignity and a heart of service? Or Zion, bringing light, humor, and truth in the most innocent way? And let's talk about it. Do you think Edmund and Patrice truly changed? Or did it take a miracle for them to finally see Malik's value? Also, what moment hit you the hardest? The humiliation dinner, the bribe attempt, or the sacrifice that saved her life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading. Until next time, keep your heart strong, keep your faith alive. And remember, character is the real wealth. Goodbye, and God bless you.